Good morning, starshine.
Welcome to the real world. Whoa!
Mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with.
Breathe air.
There's no second best, okay?
Breathe air. Okay, let's go. Trade of the day for Wednesday, 25th of September. I want to look at SUI. And where should I look at it? I should look at it on TradingView. All right. So I mentioned this. This must have been altcoin requests, I'm guessing. We looked at top to bottom. SUI has cleared above the value area. It got above the point of control, blasted through, above the value area high. If you take this value area all the way from the previous bottom to the top and back to the bottom, so the entire bull market wave, again, same thing. This value area high correlates to this daily resistance zone. There is also then a daily order block here that we have just broken through. And you have the last kind of high volume node extending to about here. Above this point, SUI has very, very, very little resistance. So what I'll be watching for is, first of all, some kind of consolidation where it pulls back and consolidates anywhere between 140 and 175, let's call it, and then makes a run towards all-time highs. So that's like that path there. And alternatively, it's just got straight up momentum and doesn't stop, which I would only day trade that or scalp it, at levels along the way, which I'll zoom in in a second and take a look at. But so you got these two broad areas, right? We can take that off. If SUI comes back, it's probably going to reach into this area here, the red box. And if not, it's going to get above and hold this blue box. So what you might see is extension and then a wick down, and then it continues to all-time high as this area goes from resistance into support. And if you're looking then at lower time frames, let's zoom it in. We have a daily order block that's just formed here. So you can see that. So I'll put this one in red because it was a previous bearish OB. This one over here, I'll actually just keep it consistent. I'll also put it onto an order block. And this daily will be a bullish OB. Zoom it into the 4 hour. What you would want to see ideally would be some kind of continuation and then a drop back into this area that then holds and then gets back above. And that's probably where it would run to all-time high. You would want to see some kind of correction. Otherwise, it's just going to run away. If it does run away, I'll be looking at it just following the 4 hour bands. So I think I would keep that really simple. The 4 hour bands themselves will probably hold right the way up to all-time high in however it tends to move. See, like, Injective's the closest comparison of, this kind of, holy shit, why is this random altcoin running when everything else isn't? And you can see how Injective followed its 4 hour trend all the way to all-time high. So if we go back to the previous bull market top for Injective, which was $25 around there, when we come up last year here, right? There you go. Injective broke out and it followed the 4 hour trend all the way. And dips got bought and it continued and continued and continued. Well, actually, you're looking over here, right? The all-time high was there. SUI's is over here. So we're still plenty of room left to run. In an equivalent basis on Injective, you're probably somewhere around here, right? So you might see some consolidation, lengthier consolidation here, or you might see continuation. Continuation would obviously look like this, where it doesn't come back, and any consolidations happen around the 4 hour bands, then away you go. So if you're trying to play the immediate momentum, if you've got a breakout retest system on the 4 hour, that's probably your best bet. And another thing would be, another way to trade it, not right now, but when it takes all-time high the first time, it's going to reject initially and then probably continue further. There's usually a trade you can take in between there and there, where it hits the all-time high, drops back, you buy the first dip, it pushes through the highs, and you just close it straight away. Because what happens there is people short the all-time high break, falls back, people short that thinking that's the top, it pushes one more time, and maybe then it sells off, or it continues higher. Doesn't really matter. But that buying that dip there, all-time high breaks through, drops back, people short it, it pushes to new highs. Obviously Injective went significantly further, but you can see many examples of coins that just do that breakout retest. Like Cardano did this as well back in 2021. If you look all the way over here, where is the previous bull market peak? No. I'll just show you this. Zoom it out. Right. As it come up here, perfect example. Zoom it in. Came up, first time, right? Took out all-time highs, dropped back into a consolidation. People short that, oh, it's, you know, all-time high, break, it's failed, false breakout, blah, blah, blah. Shorts, boom, back up, takes out the highs. Again, Cardano went into more of a chop, and then did go higher. But the best trade is just that. Wait for the first sell-off after all-time high, break, and then trade it back to new highs. So that could be the best way of approaching SUI because, you know, it might just continue immediate momentum and be quite difficult to get on board. It might end up dropping back into more consolidation. If it does that, that's a bit easier. You get a chance to rebuy. We've kind of already seen that from a good bit lower, so there might not be as much extended consolidation here. The simple way of looking at this is it's not going to be easy to just get on board and make loads of money on something that you've not been tracking, something that's not been on your radar. Other people have, the insiders have all the coins, all that kind of stuff. So the mistake that gets made when you see these coins moving on higher time frames is people tend to buy into them and then just hold them, hoping they go a lot higher. And that leads to either buying the top or buying into some extended chop or just buying at a bad place, because no doubt this rally will not continue forever. And when it pulls back, it probably pulls back quite a bit. So the best way to actually approach these is to just look at them on a intraday or 2-day holds or very short-term holds if you are going to be trading them. And understand that your job is not to be the cheerleader of SUI and buy SUI and hold SUI forever. If you're already into it or interested or have a thesis on it, you should already be long. Understand where you're at in the game of positioning. People who had a good solid thesis about SUI have already bought, right? People buying here clearly are late in terms of you don't have any alpha, you've no edge. There's no reason why you would wait to buy SUI at 170 when you could have bought it at 60 or $1 or 85 or $1.18 as it broke out. So if that's not your game, then don't play that I want to hold this for 6 weeks. Play the I'm taking this as a short-term trade momentum in either direction. By the way, there'll be some great shorts here too. As it moves up and people get too long, you'll have some quick flushes down. So I would only approach this as a short-term trader between these levels. Back to 140 is a good area to watch. Anywhere really down as low as 163 on the short term is still fine, especially if you get down to there and then you come back above. And of course, if you get to all-time high and you get that all-time high break, then drops back, then buy again, there are a couple of different ideas for how you could approach something like SUI. Whether I trade this or not is uncertain. Nothing really at the moment appeals. We had that nice reversal breakout candle here, but with, you know, such a extended uptrend, I would like to see either immediate momentum continue or sideways chop. So it's on my radar. I don't need to trade it. I won't trade it unless there's something that is really obvious for one of my systems. And that's another thing that I think is really important. And SUI is a good example, right, of what's going to happen if we get like 6 months of bull market or whatever, you know, moving forward. Let's just imagine that we have October to March again. That was the same as last year. So it's not going to happen like that, I'm pretty sure. But Q4 and Q1 tend to be the best quarters, for crypto. So if we got a bullish Q4 and a bullish Q1, and then that was it, bull market's over in April 2025, whatever, all that matters is that you're able to trade whatever fits for your systems, whatever you have plans for, whatever you're managing risk on, and that you don't chase into all these new shiny things, because it's a key feature. Just think back to October 23 to March 24. Every day there's something new pumping. Every couple of weeks the narrative shifts. And if you're not prepared, you're always going to be one step behind. Because if you're hearing about these things after they've pumped, then it's only a thing to trade short term. If you're hearing about stuff because it's all over Twitter, it's too late. You can't be early to a narrative if you find it on Twitter. Twitter is no longer the place to be early, right? By the time something gets on Twitter, it's been scraped, the algos have traded it, the fucking insiders already positioned, the people posting it on Twitter are mostly being paid shills by the foundation or by the insiders or VCs. And so you're going to be exit liquidity if you're constantly following Twitter and thinking that that means something can continue beyond wherever you've seen it. So avoid the shiny object syndrome. Especially when you come out of a bearish phase. At the beginning, you're hesitant to want to get long, and then you see something popping off like SUI, and then something else goes, and something else goes, something else goes, and you feel like, how the fuck? I didn't have plans for any of these. I'm not long any of these. Oh, why me? Why me? I need to buy something, and you just end up putting all your chips on the table into some fucking shitty altcoin. 50 or 80 or 100% or 200% higher than here. The other thing that's tempting to do is to look at this and say, all right, SUI's already pumped. Forget that. Let's move on. Let's look at other stuff that hasn't pumped. That's fine. If you look at stuff like, Pepe I was looking at yesterday, which is starting to move but hasn't pumped yet. You could look at this and say, all right, well, Pepe's a good coin, meme coin, all that kind of stuff, good narrative. Later on, I should buy some Pepe. Sure. But again, what I said, this could be, and let me try and explain this. Right? This could be the way Pepe goes. Let's just imagine we go to March. Totally making that up. Not saying that's how it's going to be. But imagine the bull market ends in March. So SUI at the moment is like there, right? And you're like, well, SUI's a bit high, so I'm going to buy Pepe. And then Pepe goes like this for the next 6 weeks. And SUI goes like that. You're going to be like, fuck's sake, I should have bought SUI. And then you're like, all right, but that's fine. Look, Pepe's going to go. And then Pepe starts to go up, but then it doesn't go yet. And then at that time, there's some other coin. At this point, there's some other meme coin or some other narrative, Aptos or whatever, and it goes. And it pumps like that. And you're like, shit. I bought Pepe back in September and I'm still sitting in fucking Pepe. And then, of course, eventually Pepe will go and all these other things will be done. And throughout these periods, there could be 2 or 3 other things that are pumping while Pepe is not. The goal is not to catch the SUI and the Aptos and the fucking whatever, Cardano, lol, and then eventually into Pepe. It's to understand your goal is to make money. Your goal is to do that through systematic, process-driven trades. Your goal is not to catch every single trade or understand these narratives, because there are no fucking narratives. It's just price. And whatever people think is going to be the narrative is not going to be the narrative. Nobody predicted meme coins to be the number one thing back in August of 2023. It's after the fact that you say, oh, well, meme coins, that was obvious because VC coins are shit and meme coins don't pretend to be worth anything and that's why everyone loves them. That is complete revisionist. There was no consensus about meme coins doing what they did. That's why they did what they did. There is now consensus about meme coins doing that. So you're seeing stuff like SUI and the MOVE narrative, and you're going to see return of modular and parallelized EVM and Solana versus Ethereum and Aptos and SUI versus Solana, and DeFi maybe makes a resurgence after the election. And you have to understand, most of these things are not strong narratives. The strongest narrative we've had is Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ETFs and the explosion of new capital, new wave in. Following that, we have not had anything really strong. We had meme coins, which are definitely like this. Not new, we had meme coins last cycle and There's always been meme coins since Dogecoin. But whatever comes next is not going to be the future of finance. It's not going to be changing the world. And the cycles change. Remember BRC20s? Bitcoin DeFi? Like that just gets memory hold. Remember real world assets? Remember crypto AI? And all the different elements and all the parts of that? Each one of those narratives came and went. Some of them will come back, others won't. But they're going to be, again, unless there is some massive breakthrough in adoption, something that really captures the attention of the world, where they think, holy shit, this is real, we need to have this. Again, which is why Bitcoin has stood the test of time, cycle through cycle, because underneath it all, there's periods of hype that gets too hype, and then it drops back. But underneath it all, Bitcoin is being adopted globally. Nothing else is. Everything else is being rinsed and repeated through the same, basically all of us, through the same group of traders or investors who are just trying to chase beta, which is all it is. Bitcoin goes up. Can I find an altcoin that goes up more? And so be disciplined. Try and increase your stack size through smart trades over the next several months. Try not to put all your chips on the table into one bet and think, well, I'm just going to hold on until this one pumps. Try to have a bit more discernment about it and understand that we may get a really big new bull market. We may get a shallower, not much. We may get a really good 2025. We may get a really bad 2025. The number one thing is that you want to be long at roughly the right times, which I think over this next few months, long periodically is going to be the right play. And in general, being long is probably going to be best. But you also have to remember that everyone's trying to do the same thing. Everyone's got one eye on the end of the bull market. Everyone's got one eye on the return of inflation and a recession or whatever way it goes. You know, the fear and the potential bad things that could be coming. So you shouldn't... It's kind of this two-part thing, right? You have to be able to turn off your desire to sell early, because you're only going to maximize the returns through these bull waves if you don't, sell too soon because of the fear of and the panic and the kind of disbelief. But also, you have to be ready to turn around and sell when the time comes. And it sounds like contradictory and sounds really tricky and really difficult. And that's because it is. It's not simple to buy the bottom and sell the top. So you don't try and buy the bottom. You try and buy the momentum on the way up. And you don't try and sell the top. You try and sell after the momentum has died off. And you're fairly sure that it's at least a local top. And you're going to get out and wait and see. Try not to predict narratives. More money is lost trying to predict the next thing than anything. Because you're like, well, I see this thing moving, so I'm going to go for the next thing. And then the next thing never comes. And the thing that you thought was late keeps moving. And then you end up making no money. So if you have a base of a portfolio of Bitcoin, for example, you should be very hesitant to move into anything else. You shouldn't just think, oh, it's time to get into alts. It might be time to get into certain alts if you've done your research, the systems are saying it, the charts are set up well, the Bitcoin charts are bullish, so the chart against BTC is bullish, and there's a period where you think there could be a week or two of outperformance. I don't think that holding alts for 6 months is going to necessarily be a good idea. It could be, but a lot of this stuff's going to move very fast. It's not going to move at all. Then it's going to move really quickly. And then it's going to peter out just as quickly again. Unless we get some new enduring narrative, which I don't see yet, then you have to be tactically long around here and getting back into your base asset anytime you see the momentum in your altcoin weakening. And I don't think you want to miss the Bitcoin wave if it comes. Because basically, there's not going to be an altcoin massive wave unless there's a big Bitcoin wave. So there will be some big Bitcoin wave, assuming we go higher. And that's the main thing to be exposed to, along with altcoin trades along the way. Just be mindful that every single person is trying to do the same thing. there's general consensus that things are going to go up and that you need to have altcoins because they're better than Bitcoin in an uptrend. And that's going to lead to a lot of underperformance. So, GM.